I see we have a number of folks in the attendee list. Good morning. I am Senator Chip Curry, and I'll be presiding over the work session on the Joint Standing Committee on Innovation, Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. The purpose of this meeting is for the committee to receive information from staff and others in order for members to consider legislative proposals before them and make recommendations or reports to the legislature. Only committee members, the committee analysts, and those specifically invited to attend will be participating in the work session using Zoom. We are the YouTube live stream of this meeting, which is accessible to the public, begins at the scheduled start time for the work session and will remain on until the end of the day's work. I think we've covered all of these things before. This is a public meeting. I must remind you that while we are meeting, discussion must happen on screen and not by way of Zoom chat. You may use the chat to request to speak, or I think we're very good on the hand raising at this point, or if you're having any technical difficulties. At this point, we will, I will ask members to introduce themselves. Representative Geiger, would you kick us off?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. My name is Valley Geiger. I am representative for District 93, Rockland and Owl's Head.
Hi, my name is John Andrews. I represent District 73 in Western Maine, which is made up of the towns of Paris, Hebron, and Buckfield.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah Pepworth. I'm proud to represent the Blue Hill Peninsula District, which includes Blue Hill, Brooksville, Brooklyn, Castine, Sedgwick, and Surrey.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amanda Collimore. I represent House District 106, Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit.
And I'm Senator Scott Searway and represents District 16, which covers Waterville, Winslow, Fairfield, Benton, Albion, Clinton, and Unity Township.
Good morning. I'm Representative Jack Ducharme, representing House District 111, which includes Sedgwick.
Good morning.
Oh, my apologies, Representative Austin. I just wanted to let Representative Ducharme know his feed is a little slow today. Representative Austin?
Good morning, Maine. I'm Representative Austin, hailing from my hometown of Gray, which is home to Pemberton's Foods. I have a portion of Raymond, which is home to Beacon Pizza, and I have a portion of Casco, which is home to Hancock Lumber, a fifth generation Maine company, and I have all of Fry Island, which is really near the famous Fry's Leap, and Fry Island is the only freshwater island town in Maine. Thank you.
Representative Tavis Hassenfuss, representing House District 81, which is Winthrop, Reedfield, and North Monmouth. Home to a lot of awesome things. Check out anytime you're in town.
Good morning, everyone. Representative Reagan LaRochelle, House District 86, which is part of Augusta.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sue Bernard. I represent District 149, and that's Caribou, Westmanland, and New Sweden, home of the Par and Grill, and really the only playable snow in the entire state of Maine. So come up and ski and snowmobile and do what you will.
Good morning. I'm Representative Tiffany Roberts, representing House District 6, and I'll give this a shot. This is parts of South Berwick, which is claimed to be home of the first cow in the country, and most of North Berwick. I'm your house parent.
Yeah.
Wow, I will not. Wow.
Come on, come
Good
on.
morning, everyone. My name is Senator Chip Curry again, and I represent Senate District 11, which includes the 26 rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County. And I want to give a shout out to Robbins Lumber in Searsmont, Maine. So with that, we will get started. Our item on the agenda is the supplemental budget, and I will ask Ms. Olson to lead us through that. And then actually, I think we have folks in the attendee list that will be presenting today. So, or speaking to us. And if we can, I will promote Mr. Ben Goodman.
If I may,
Yeah,
I know
please.
that Commissioner Head has a conflict at 10, so if there was no objection, we could start with the sections of the budget related to DPFR.
Sure, let's go ahead and do that. I'll bring in both Ben and Ben is, Mr. Goodman is here, and Commissioner Head. Heather. Is Commissioner Head made it in? Not seeing. There we go.
So today the committee is meeting to work the sections of the budget related to agencies under IDEA's purview. The committee could attend the joint hearing with AFA on Monday, March 7th. I know many individuals were able to attend and sent out materials related to the budget last night. They are available on the website. Certainly, maybe more information than you might wanted, but that's out there and available. So the purpose today is to go through the budget initiatives and to make recommendations to AFA.
Ms. Olson?
Yes.
Okay, you've glitched a couple times, frozen a couple times during that start. Was that me on my computer, or did other members have that? Okay, so
oh, that's not good.
I
turned off her
I
camera
would
and it
make a
looks like it's
suggestion
helping.
if I could. Rachel, your audio, I'm sure, is done through your computer. If you go down to your mute button, hit the little caret, you can change your audio to phone call. And then even if you're glitching out on your video side of things, the audio will still hear you.
We'll see how this goes, and we'll see what we can do here. And Ms. Olson, do you want to continue?
Yes.
And we'll give you feedback if you cut in and out.
Okay. And you don't need to see my lovely face, so we can leave my video off.
We'll try that for a bit.
For now. So the purpose of going through today is to vote on that vote is a recommendation to AFA. And I will include a letter to AFA with the committee's recommendations and the votes attached. The committee can make additional recommendations other than the initiatives under our review. With that, Commissioner Head is here. Could start with the section of the budget. If you were to open the document, the report back template, that's the document that we will be using today. I can put it on the screen.
Yeah, let's try this a little further. You are still glitching. We'll see if this can work. Otherwise, we might have to take a recess for you to find another spot, because I do believe we need you, especially for other testimony, so that you can report it out properly. So let's see whether this works. Go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay, we're going to start on page 4. This is the section related to DPFR. We're going to start with reference number 948. This is licensing and enforcement. The initiative is to provide a headcount for one principal consumer credit examiner position. And this adjusts funding between programs to correct an error in Public Law 21, Chapter 357. So this is an adjustment. It's intended to establish a position on a permanent basis under Public Law 21, Chapter 357, but it did not include a head count. The change package included the head count, and it corrects the allocation for personal services, which was mistakenly identified as licensing enforcement instead of Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. So this is just moving from one place to the other. So this is a reduction in funds in this initiative, and they are added in a different section of the budget, but not under ideas consideration.
Gotcha. Do members of the committee have a question for Commissioner Head or for Ms. Olson? Representative Robert Collmore.
Thank you. I'm having a trouble figuring out, because you had cut out exactly which file that you sent us we're looking at. Because I clicked on all of them and it doesn't look like any of them look like this.
Yep, it should be the report back template.
Were you able? Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this creates a brand new position that will be there in perpetuity.
That's fine.
Shall we, Ms. Olson, were you getting ready to answer that?
That's my understanding. Although I think the position's been created, this is just to make sure it goes under the right section of the budget. But I think we should ask Commissioner Head to make sure that we're clear on that.
Commissioner Head, can you welcome to the committee and please, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. That is correct. The position itself was created in the first session and was, I'm sorry, the last session of this legislature. And there was a mistake in one of the fiscal notes, which placed allocation in OPOR rather than the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. So this simply, this is a permanent position, and we will be recruiting for that position for the purpose of overseeing and implementing private education lending and the private student loan lender registry. So we're behind on that because of the error. So this simply corrects the error.
Thank you. Are there other questions? At this point, is the committee ready to vote on this? Ms. Olson, I think you're sharing your email.
Sorry.
That's all right. Is the committee ready to vote on this? Any questions?
And if I may,
Yes.
the committee, it's totally up to you how you'd like to approach voting. We can vote on each initiative singly, or we can look at all of the initiatives for each department and vote on them as a whole, whatever the committee, however they would like to proceed with voting.
Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Rachel. That was going to be my question. I think generally speaking, we peruse the entire document, and then I think we kind of run back through and either make an argument for or against a particular cost center, and then a final vote. So if that helps.
Is anyone opposed to that as a process? Sounds like a plan.
Okay, then the second initiative for DPFR under licensing and enforcement is reference number 949. This provides funding for additional legal support from the Office of the Attorney General. It's $38,946 in 21 and $142,348 in 23. This is in response to a September 28th, 2021 judicial court decision so the office is requesting to retain additional legal support to implement this Supreme Court ruling that legal advisory and investigatory functions must be handled by different legal counsel in any adjudicatory hearing.
Were there, and that does not fall under Commissioner Head's purview, is that correct?
I believe it does.
It
Yes.
does. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were staying on all the items
Yes,
for Commissioner
yes.
Head, given your time constraints. All right. Representative Austin.
Sorry.
Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Miss Olson or Miss Head, either of you who can answer this would be fine. And I briefly read through that decision a little bit last night. And my understanding is that now what's going to happen is that there's going to be one AAG that's going to work with the board at their initial meetings, their regularly scheduled meetings, to advise the board on the law and what the board can do, can't do. And then when the board decides to take an action, there's going to be a different attorney general that is going to actually prosecute the action. Is that correct? Is that how this would work?
I can answer that. Generally, yes. The point of the law court's decision was that when a complaint is presented, there is an assigned AAG to counsel the board if there are any questions at that stage. If that complaint is not resolved, for example, with a consent agreement with the respondent licensee, then the board is required to schedule an adjudicatory hearing. And the court was saying that you can't have the same attorney advising the board at the complaint process as you have in the adjudicatory hearing. So that requires a different schedule of AAGs for the programs within OPOR. So what we were asked to do by the AG's office was to basically pay for another attorney position in case there was a need for an additional attorney to fill in at the adjudicatory hearing part of a case. And to prevent any bias of the first attorney in an adjudicatory hearing. So that has already started, and I think the AG's office just wanted to make sure that they had enough staff to cover all of the adjudicatory hearings for OPOR and some other programs, but we were asked to pay for it.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Ms. Olson, if you want to continue on.
Okay. And then the last initiative for DPFR, again, under licensing and enforcement. This initiative eliminates one vacant office specialist 1 position and reduces the hours of one vacant office specialist 2 position to fund the reorganization of one comprehensive health planner 1 position and one regulatory health compliance agent position from part-time to full-time. The justification is that Public Law 21, Chapter 65 from LD 1115 established one part-time regulatory health compliance agent position to manage the increase in workload associated with the regulation of pharmacists' authority to dispense HIV prevention drugs. And Public Law 21, Chapter 271, LD 1293, established one part-time comprehensive health planner 1 position to manage increases in applicants for certification to administer adult injections of certain drugs approved for the treatment of mental illness and substance use disorders, as well as the investigation of complaints. This initiative before you today is proposing to supplement these 2 authorized part-time positions using 2 existing vacancies to create 2 full-time positions that will enable the program to manage the increased workload as intended, as well as give the program the ability to attract more qualified candidates through recruitment of 2 full-time positions rather than 2 part-time positions. And it will also address the program's need for additional support with enforcement, compliance review, and complaint investigation. And so it's $28,804, which is a reduction, and $467. So it's actually representing a savings.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you.
Okay. And so the totals, just for DPFR under licensing and enforcement, the totals here, it's a savings of $66,235 in 22 and an estimated increase of $32,171 in 23.
Is the committee ready to consider a motion on the DPFR related initiatives? Chair recognizes Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we accept the DPFR related initiatives in the budget.
I just second it.
Second. Ms. Olson, can you stop sharing for just a second? Is there any further discussion? And Ms. Olson, I think you need a roll call, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I've asked Eva to, Ms. Reed to do the call.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Reed, if you can call the roll, please. And this is for all of these initiatives, so they're combined.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
No.
Representative Andrews, no. Representative Pepworth,
Yes.
Representative Pepworth, yes. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme,
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative La Rochelle,
Yes.
Representative La Rochelle, yes. Representative Bernard,
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
And Representative Andrews, was your intention to be no on all three, or did you want to divide that in some way?
If we can divide it, that would be great. I would vote against the first one and the other ones are fine.
Okay, so that you would be a yes on 949 and a yes on 950 and a no on 948.
I would have to take your word for it, but probably yes.
Let me,
Ms. Olson, can you confirm that we did that right?
yeah, I actually did not hear what Representative Andrews said, but I'll put them on the screen just so I know for sure. So the first one, 948, this is the consumer credit examiner position being shifted from one place to the other.
Yeah, actually, I would vote against the first two.
Against the first two.
Yep.
Okay, and the attorney general, so 949 and 948.
948, 949, correct, yes.
And then you're voting in favor of 950.
Yeah, yep.
Reorganization. Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the section on DPFR. And
thank
we
you,
can go back to the top.
Thank you. Thanks.
We can go back to the beginning and continue with DECD, which is at the top of the document.
And let me ask, Mr. Goodman, are you presenting? Are you here for questions, or is there someone else that should be available for any of these?
Yep, I'm here for DECD.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we're going to start at the top. So we're on page 1 of the report back template, Department of Economic and Community Development. The first initiative is under administration. This initiative, reference number 289, provides funding for the increased cost of centralized financial and human resource services provided by the Department of Administrative and Financial Services. It's an increase of $9,198 in both 22 and 23. They provide centralized accounting, payroll, budgeting, and human resources services to departments and agencies. Service centers are established as internal service funds intended to recoup their costs through billings to departments and agencies for services provided. They've experienced increased personal service costs, primarily associated with recent salary increases in collective bargaining agreements, and this has resulted in increases in billing rates to the departments and agencies.
Representative Andrews.
Thank you. I'm just curious, as they're centralizing from what under this, where's everything coming from?
Mr. Goodman, you want to address that?
Representative, I wish I had a direct answer for you. I've studied up on the other provisions here on Loring, but I'm happy to get you more clarity on that provision.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Olson, did you have anything to add to that?
I'm not that familiar with how DAFS works in regards to these service centers.
Okay. All right. Representative Andrews, did you have another question?
We can move on. I'll take my hand down.
Okay.
Okay. We'll go to the second initiative for DECD. This is under administration. Initiative number, reference number 290. This initiative provides one-time funding for DECD to cover certain operating expenses for the Loring Development Authority of Maine. So the justification for this is that decreased revenues and the lack of business attraction over the past 2 years have impacted Loring Development's ability to pay operating expenses necessary to keep the facility operating. Operating expenses include payments to limestone water and sewer, utility payments necessary to keep buildings heated, salary expenses, and debt service payments. This is a request for $970,100, and this is connected to language part V, which is the statutory language necessary for the transfer.
Mr. Goodman, would you care to make a statement about this?
Sure, Senator, if it's okay, I'll just mention that several of these Loring provisions are all connected. And the last couple of years have been difficult for Loring in particular, both due to the pandemic, but some other particular challenges. The administration, number one, is committed to continuing to develop and market Loring and its assets and the great opportunities that it has for investment in Northern Maine. The administration is certainly committed to that region. Administration also realizes that continuing to provide one-time continuing to provide one-time allocations to Loring to keep it going is not sustainable either. So all of these provisions, first, this specific provision provides resources to help Loring stay strong and operate through June 2022 from the surplus. From there, the other provisions help to, let me back up. Over the last few years, DECD has worked with external firms to study Loring and look at opportunities to better market and provide investment opportunities for Loring. And these other specific investments laid out here work to implement some of the lessons from that plan and work to provide resources to help the department market Loring with experts that have worked with MIRA, the Brunswick area, to really strengthen investment opportunities.
Thank you. I see we have a lot of questions, so I'll start with Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You kind of touched on my question. How can we guarantee this is one-time funding if they're operating expenses? Wouldn't this be recurring year to year? And is anything being done to shrink that operating footprint so that we don't have $1 million cost yearly?
Representative, I can't speak to efforts on shrinking the operating costs at Loring, but what I can tell you is the intent of the entire operation here is certainly to boost the fundamentals and investment at Loring, and continue to help it move forward and draw and attract new investments and opportunities in the area.
Mr. Goodman, can you, a follow-up question for you? What is our current investment in the annual investment in Loring?
I will have to get to that. I would also say that the commissioner is in the waiting area if we'd like to bring her in.
Absolutely. Ms. Olson, can you bring down screen sharing? I don't see the commissioner in the waiting room. Ms. Reed, have you brought her in already?
No, I don't think she's here.
Okay. So I'll keep a watch on the attendee list, and if the commissioner joins us, we'll bring her right over.
Thank you.
Great, and we'll continue on with questions. So Representative Roberts, Chair Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Goodman, just for clarification, this is the first time we've provided one-time funding. If not, how often, over what span of time, and roughly the amounts?
I'm hoping the commissioner will join us momentarily to give you that historical context. I do apologize to everybody. I'm still fairly new to the department, so I apologize. I should have had that answer for you. We'll get that.
Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to vote on this without more information about how many years we've been funding it, to what tune, and how often we've had to make additional one-time payments to cover even basic operating costs. So that's the information I'm looking for. Thanks.
Oh, I see that Commissioner Johnson has joined us. Welcome, Commissioner Johnson.
Good morning.
So we are at the item 290. I don't know if you were watching along. We're at the first of the Loring Development Authority initiatives, and so lots of questions. Would you like to speak in general about it first, or just respond to questions?
Maybe just a 2-second overview, and then, because my guess is the questions are about sustainability for Loring, and they're the same questions probably that I have and that we've all been asking, and we can get kind of some real detail out to the committee if you're interested in that. We have supported Loring investments kind of over the last couple of decades, so this isn't a new challenge. I know one of the bills at the end of the LePage administration put in about $750,000 trying to, again, create a sustainability plan and help them kind of move forward. There were earmarks at the federal level for Loring as well. We've seen EDA grants go there as well. Loring is a great asset for the state. It is also, right, a little bit difficult to think about as you think about redevelopment there, and there have been some ongoing challenges. So one of the things that we have done is there hasn't been any marketing invested in Loring in a pretty long time. And in order to redevelop any area, right, you need to tell people about it. You need to sell those assets to people, and you need to help them understand kind of what's possible there. And so I think that's actually the next budget line item that you'll go to. So one is, we have Loring as one piece, and then there's a marketing piece. The other thing about the Loring piece is there are jobs on the Loring site that require sewer and water infrastructure and other things that are kind of the primary part of this operating budget. And so those are really good paying jobs, about 930 of them in Northern Maine, that we want to make sure that we're protecting as we work on the sustainability plan for Loring. So that's something that is something to be considered as well, as how when we look at this work, because we need to protect those jobs. The town of Limestone is very connected to Loring. the sewer infrastructure and water infrastructure there is connected. And so it's more, there's a lot to this one. I wish there were better and easier answers to this problem. I think now with some marketing money, Steve Levesque has also agreed to come over, and obviously he's redeveloped military facilities before and been incredibly successful and knows, a lot about shows and how to get that development out in front of good investors. So there were some changes, I think, that are material. There is also a developer that has rights to a portion of the facility now that we expect to close here coming up, which would generate some cash as well and be able to kind of give them some sustainability, short-term sustainability as they move forward. So sorry, Senator Curry, that might have been more than you were hoping for, but if you want to kick to questions, I can try to go from there.
No, that was perfect. Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know if you would have the answer to this question, but I have two. One is, when's the last time that Loring turned a profit that we know of? And the second is, what are we doing differently now that, hasn't been done in the past? If we've kept throwing, as you mentioned, 4 years ago, we threw 750,000 at it. And, what are we doing differently so that this is going to actually start to, go the other way?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's the question I ask every day of my team and of the Loring team as well. So I respect the question. I think those are the right questions to be asking, and they're the ones that we ask as well. I really think there are a couple of differences right now that give me more confidence. One of them is we're going to invest in a little bit of marketing to get the site out in front of other investors. The other thing is DECD has stood up a site selection tool. Maine has never had a site selection tool in our history. And that made us incredibly uncompetitive as we were looking at kind of national investors for these bigger sites. And so that's up and running now. Loring has a premier kind of location on that, because again, it's in all of our best interest to make Loring sustainable. So we are seeing now more people look at Loring, want to evaluate the buildings and the facilities. And like I said, there is one developer that is up there doing kind of asset management right now to determine, do they want to take a portion of that and keep moving forward. So in my 3.5 years doing this is the first kind of legitimate developer that we have kind of seen and been able to kind of manage in a way that allows them to evaluate the facility and potentially move in a way that supports Limestone, the existing businesses, and good for broader Northern Maine.
Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Commissioner Johnson, I'm a little confused by what you meant about we need to pay operating costs in order to fund those 930 jobs. So are you saying those jobs are basically being paid for by taxpayers because the businesses that have those jobs can't even cover their basic costs? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I am saying is they have leases on those buildings, and the leases don't cover the full sewer and water costs, because the way they amortized out these buildings, they expected to have them filled in a different way. And so the cost to operate that sewer system for the smaller number of people that are there costs more per person than what was built. If that helps.
Mr. Chair, is this the time to ask a more general question or only questions to Commissioner Johnson?
Why don't we say Commissioner Johnson's questions and we can come back. Yeah, questions for the commissioner. Chair recognizes Representative Bernard.
Sorry, I lost my place there for just a second. I just wanted to say that Loring is such an unbelievable asset that we have to, and I'll have a question in there somewhere, I'll find one. The runway alone is amazing and could be taken over again if necessary by the military at some point. But for now, we are looking at trying to get this place economically viable again. And the jobs that we have over there from the Loring Job Corps, from oh, sorry, I'm having trouble. It's the
Finance.
Thank you. The finance authority, the finance group that pays all of the military, and they've been noted year over year for being the very best one in the country. There's only 4 of them, I believe. Anyway, we have to maintain this because right now we are on the cusp. There is a group over there, as I'm glad that Heather Johnson talked about, and that is it's a green energy type of piece of work, and they're actually working with, at this moment, I hope I'm not going to overstep, but the Maine Community College is talking with them about making sure programs are going to be ready for when this Green for Maine folks come in. They are on the cusp of doing this, but they can't take over all of the burden of the cost right now. And I hope I've stated that correctly, but we really do want to be there to support them as they start plowing in a lot of money to the Loring area.
Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One other question I had too is I know a huge difference between Brunswick and Loring is that you're going, with a business where you need human capital, you need workers. There's an abundance of workers in the Brunswick area. What is being done to address, the population density in Limestone and being able to make sure that businesses feel comfortable going there and being able to find the employees that are willing to either move there or to get the ones who are already in that area? And has that been an obstacle? And what are the plans on, addressing that particular aspect of this?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. Certainly, I think, right, they are very different properties, Loring and Brunswick Naval Air Station. And I would say Loring has some key attributes that other locations don't have, right? And our ability to market those attributes and really focus in there, I think, is important. So Representative Bernard mentioned, right, the people that are currently looking at Loring wouldn't have looked at Brunswick because Brunswick couldn't offer them what Loring can. And so I think really our ability to focus and target properties and developers that are looking for the assets that Loring has, the workforce in Aroostook County has a great reputation. This finance group that's doing the federal finance work, right? They are consistent and accurate and very high productivity, and that's being noticed across the country. And we're being able to kind of use that kind of work ethic as we leverage other assets up there. So I think your comment about the volume of people is accurate, but I think this workforce opportunity in Northern Maine is a big one as well. We've also seen Limestone and other kind of surrounding towns be very adaptive and open to trying to figure out how do they attract new people in a unique and creative way. So I think there is work being done there. But from a Loring sustainability perspective, I think we need to really focus on what are those assets and how do we leverage them and not try to change them as much, but really, because those assets are very valuable. There are lots of developers that are looking for that. We just need to tell that story.
And Commissioner Johnson, I have a question. I think my question is, do you consider this a bailout and a turnaround situation that we're in? And I ask that because I read the Loring audit in their annual report, and they had adverse findings on the financial statements. I'm noticing that no one from Loring is here to testify. So it's making me wonder in terms of, are we in a turnaround situation? So yeah, can you address that?
I can try. Loring is a difficult challenge, right? And their executive director retired last year. And so I think that's a little bit what you're seeing reflected there. The governor and you all supported some new board nominations. And so there's been a refresh on that board. I think that has reinvigorated the work. I think some of them are willing to do some of the hands-on work, right? That the prior board maybe wasn't doing as much of until you can kind of get some new work there. And that's why this marketing piece is so important, because it puts a person to do real market attraction work. And that's what's most needed right now for Loring. So yes, I think I guess I hesitate to call it a bailout. I think Loring has kind of struggled for decades for a variety of reasons. I do think that we intend it to be a turnaround though.
Ms. Olson, your hand is up. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, and I think you may have mentioned it. I just wanted to remind the committee that we do have the 2021, actually we have a couple of years of annual reports from the Loring Development Authority, which includes budget information about operating costs, revenue, and loss. So that is available for the committee's review as well. And I did note in the testimony that there was mention of a sustainability plan. I don't have access to that. I don't know if it's available to be shared, and if the committee would be interested in reviewing that per today's conversation.
Thank you. Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, I may be mixing up two different initiatives, but is there any community development committee that has had any involvement in the campus in Loring? Or am I thinking maybe I've mixed pieces of Maine up in that area? I seem to recall someone coming in, making a presentation and they were very pleased. That I'll leave it to you. And I'll say just one caveat. I think to the good Representative Bernard's comment on just the landing area, the runway alone, I think we really, in these challenging times, really need to keep just that asset, if nothing else, as in the forefront of what an incredible thing that could be for defense. So please, yes, answer away.
Thank you, Representative Austin. Yeah, the runway is a great asset. It needs work, right? It's a big property, and those big properties need a lot of work, and so that creates a lot of operating costs. But I fully agree with both of your assessments on, having a runway in northern Maine is critical, and critical to access for the military, for commercial purposes as well. There was a CDBG grant given. There's been a number NBRC, so Northern Border Regional Commission funds put in up there. As I said, there were some federal earmarks through the federal delegation as well. I would say it's been a unified effort to try to keep these buildings and these properties valuable, because once you start to have major issues, you can't get them back. And that's something I think are all trying to head off.
Thank you. I guess I would just say too that over the years, this has happened, and I would look to it as a buffer to keep that asset, as you said, alive and really primarily well, so that the investments for the next folks that come in is not so egregious that they just can't make it. But this is not a bailout to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Ducharme.
Thank you, Chairman Curry. Commissioner Johnson, maybe you said it and I missed it, but as I understand that there's been kind of turnover in the board up there and that kind of thing. How long has it been since there's been a real concerted effort at marketing that property as it should be marketed with the assets that are there? Can you speak to that?
I probably can't give you an exact date, but it's been significant. I don't know that there hasn't, in my opinion, been a targeted marketing effort since I've been in my role. So that would be 3.5 years. I think, right, the financial constraints there have been very difficult. And at that point, right, I think you decide, do you try to keep things viable and do the best you can, or do you do something else? And I think it's been a while. I can get you an exact time though, but it certainly is before, it's more than 3.5 years.
I don't need an exact time, but thank you. I just wanted to, I mean, if you're not marketing something, then you're going to go the other way real quick. And that's something that we need to recognize.
That's right. And I think there's some interesting opportunities that are in the sustainability plan. I think Ms. Olson might have put that in the chat while we were talking. If not, we can certainly send it out. Deputy Commissioner Garland is the one who represents DECD on the LDA board and is the real loring expert on our team. She is fortunately getting a couple of days break, which she hasn't had. So we are grateful to her to give her a little bit of a break. And so Ben and I are pinch hitting here, but I think there were some real opportunities around doing some work, even though the Brunswick facility and the Loring facility are very different. The place that developers go to learn about these opportunities are similar. And so I think there are some leverage points there that the Brunswick team is happy to work with Loring on as well. So we're looking to leverage some of that too to reduce the costs.
Ms. Olson, can you also put the Loring the 2021 annual report in the chat?
So I put the link.
You cut out there.
All of the annual from 2017 through 2021. Those are the annual.
Thank you. I see them now. Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anytime I hear the word bailout, my libertarian sense starts tingling and my red pen comes out. But that being said, I think we put some really good people on the Loring board recently, and I think it's kind of our responsibility to set them up for success, not set them up for failure. It's 1 year funding, and as much as it pains me, I think I'll be voting for this.
Thank you, Representative. So I think that's our intent as well.
Chair recognizes Representative Bernard.
You just took away my point here, Representative Andrews. Thank you very much. To mention that, yeah, we did just put in almost an entirely new board, and it's a board of people who know this area inside and out. They have a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, and they desperately want to see Loring prosper. And I think that they have the expertise to do it. These are wonderful people. Let's give them this chance, and the payback will be incredible. I know what's possible at Loring Air Force Base because I know it so well. And just so you know, I had asked my husband used to be stationed at Loring Air Force Base a long time ago, and I asked that question about the runway, and he knows it really well. He used to fly B-52s there. And I asked the question, I know it hasn't been used for that purpose for a very long time, but just how in repair or disrepair is it? And he said, trust me, a big plane can land on that runway. They can land in a riverbed if need be, but that's a beautiful runway, and he knows it quite well. So I'll just tell you that yes, it can go. Those runways can go into disrepair, but that one is still the longest runway in the whole state of Maine. So I think it's something we don't want to lose.
Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that we have recently appointed some new members to the board, and I do have full faith that they will be able to put this together. We've seen what they've done in other areas of the state, and I think that that there will be a good turnaround, knowing that we can't continue to provide a crutch for essentially what is supposed to be, a business activity that's supposed to be generating its own revenue and income. So I think temporary assistance to get it off the ground and running is completely acceptable and is what this committee does. But temporary is the key word there. And I think we're pushing the boundary of what temporary is.
Chair recognizes Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would say again, it's been 25 years of the Loring Redevelopment Authority being supported by the state of Maine and its taxpayers and has very little to show for it. And while I appreciate there's a runway, I'm not really interested in Maine taxpayers paying for the maintenance of something just in case the military decides to take it back. Their budget is several hundred times greater than the entire state of Maine. I guess my question to a couple of the other members on our committee is the first development we've heard about, possible development for Loring, was the Space Center. And yet we couldn't get a unanimous vote out of this committee for what was the first time we have a real possibility of interest in that area. So I guess I'm confused about why we absolutely need to do bailouts and funding, and yet we couldn't support on a unanimous basis the first interest in that geography in a long time. So I would love to hear from other members about why you think I should support something that goes against stated conservative principles about not funding private public partnerships, not having the state involved in bailing things out, not picking winners and losers. Help me.
Does anyone care to
Point
respond to that?
of order. Can I have a point of order, please?
What's your point of order?
I think that we need to avoid impugning the integrity of our members and what our goals and stated opinions are on things, and to just generalize people based off of a conservative viewpoint, because if we remember correctly, people were split on some of these things. So if we could just remember that in what we're discussing, that would be helpful. Thank you.
My apology, Representative
Thank you,
Collmore.
Representative Collmore. Representative Andrews, did you want to respond to the question?
Sure, I'll take that one. I think the reason we had a divided report was because we needed one, because for that to go under the hammer with the cost projections from Terry Shahana's report, if you read it, that were upwards of $70 million, would have been wildly irresponsible. That's a bill we need to pump the brakes on, get to both caucuses to have everybody discuss it, because the legislature is bigger than just this group. There's a lot of diverse backgrounds and opinions. I think it's the responsible thing to do to slow that down and discuss it. And I don't remember seeing an actual fiscal note on the bill, so to pass it without knowing that would be, again, wildly irresponsible. I think right in front of this bill that we're looking at right now, I think it's 289 and 290. We have, laid out costs over a one time that's much more, on paper, what's going to happen cost wise. And the fact that we've already put people on the board, we want to empower us to succeed. I think they kind of dovetail together as opposed to a sort of nebulous spaceport idea that, well-intentioned, probably some great ideas to it, but again, it's something so big, creating a new authority that we really need to pump the brakes on and get, the opinions of everybody in the legislature, I think. I hope that made sense. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Andrews. I don't want to get us too far down another path, so it doesn't look like anyone else wishes to respond to that. We'll stay on the Loring initiatives. Let's see. Doesn't look like we have any other questions. Any other questions for Representative for Commissioner Johnson? Why don't we continue on with the other Loring related proposals? I see questions now. So Representative, before we go to questions, we'll go to, I saw Representative Austin first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I was a little bit slow. I was trying to develop the thought I had. That can be quite challenging at times. But this is for Commissioner, for the Commissioner. With regards to the runway, is there use now of any nature by our federal government in terms of, like, the what do I want to say? Just I'll leave it at that. Is there any activity, and is there or has there been support from them on keeping that in somewhat repaired condition?
So one of the questions a couple of years ago that we had about the runway was there is federal infrastructure money for runways and runway management. And, we've seen that in some other runways in Maine, and there are a couple of things that have to be fixed on the runway before it meets the FAA standard to be eligible. Right, to Representative Bernard's point, you can land there, private planes land there now, and that's okay, and it works and it's fine. But to be at an FAA standard is a little bit different, and in order to be eligible for support from them, you have to be at a FAA authorized standard, and we aren't there anymore. We aren't at a place where we can't get back to that. We just aren't there today. But the runway is usable. People land there all the time, and to Representative Bernard's husband's point, you could probably, I don't know anything about military aircraft, but you could probably land anything there. It's not currently being used at a federal level. Local people are using it. And certainly we'll tell you developers are using it, right? As developers come in to look at Loring or Loring sites, they need a way to get up there in a quick and reasonable time. And so it's being used for some things for sure.
That's helpful. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted there. I was trying to tell Representative Austin that she was muted. Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Johnson, that the 970 or approximately 970,000 there, that's mostly all covering known expenses, which would be overhead expenses that can't really be whittled down much at all, can it?
No, we pushed pretty hard on that, and as I said, Deputy Commissioner Garland has been very involved, and right as new board members come in, one of their jobs is to understand the financials. And so between the new board members, Deputy Commissioner Garland, and the exiting LDA board and LDA employees, there was a pretty thorough vetting there. They also are subject to an annual audit, and so a financial audit. So I think they put those pieces together to figure out what the bare minimum was. The original ask was considerably higher than that, but we got it to what is the bare minimum operating cost, and separated out kind of this marketing piece intentionally so that they could be kind of two separate things. So you could see them separately.
Chair recognizes Representative Bernard.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Johnson, I just wanted to know clearly, does the governor have some, does she feel good about the amount that's being offered here, and that it should be able to get us to a place where we're going to be able to do a lot more, effective marketing, and that we'll be able to move forward? Does she have a lot of faith in this idea? I'm quite sure she wants to see Loring continue.
I'm always a little bit cautious about speaking on behalf of the governor, but in my discussions with her, right, she is very focused on supporting Northern Maine and making sure that Loring, continues and has a successful opportunity to operate. And with the guidance of, some really high level board members and Deputy Commissioner Garland and some others, this was the package we're bringing forward. And I think she does feel confident that, right, this is as responsible a taxpayer request as we can make and still move forward.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson, this is in addition to the annual budget for Loring, correct? What is our additional, what is our standard amount that we're giving them on an annual basis?
So we don't currently, as part of the standard budget, give them funding. They receive what's called a JTIF, which is a jobs tax increment financing, which is an equivalent to like an ETIF for businesses. So they get a piece of the payroll tax for each employee that's on the base. And you all have helped us a couple of times pull that forward in other creative ways to kind of balance that operating cash flow challenge that is an ongoing problem. So we've moved that JTIP payment around some. We've never changed it other than we've pulled it forward and pushed it out to try to balance that cash flow need.
Okay, so thank you. So that was, I was trying to understand, because I remember that from, I think, last January of doing that in advance, and I think that had been done in the 129th as well.
Correct.
So when I look at their budget and I see state assistance at, oh, I thought I had it here just a second ago, 500,000 or 650,000. That's what they're referring to is
That's
the
correct.
JTIF. Okay.
And that JTIF moves around a little bit. It's usually between like 530 and 640, the 100,000, based on kind of how many employees they have on that campus at any given time.
Great. And what's the current, you mentioned 930, was that like including a connected employment, like jobs that are separated, or is that 930 or actually on the campus?
You know, I have to go back and get you an exact number, Senator Curry. I should know that number, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
Great, thank you.
There's Job Corps there, Loring Industries, which is a separate for-profit company on Loring property, is there, as well as some other pieces. So I can get you that exact number though.
Thank you. I guess my last question is, can you speak to any of the adverse findings in their audit? I think the deal, part of it was that there was an LLC that wasn't reported at the same time. Is there any more information about that?
I don't have that with me, Senator, but when Deputy Commissioner Garland gets back, I'd be happy to have her kind of do a follow-up there.
Great, thank you. I want to respect that we're the jurisdiction, we're the committee of jurisdiction, and it's our oversight duty. At the same time, I absolutely support Representative Bernard's position, and I think most of this committee's position that this is an incredible investment that has been unrealized in terms of the next opportunity for it, and yet at the same time honor our duty of oversight. So, Chair recognizes Representative Ducharme.
Thank you, Senator Curry. Just a quick question. I haven't seen this sustainability plan, but perhaps Commissioner Johnson, if you could speak to, since it's clear that there are operating expenses that are not covered by the leaseholds, is there any piece of that sustainability plan which suggests going back to these leaseholders and saying the operating costs are X, and we may need to talk about renegotiating or doing something, and maybe that's all in a sustainability plan, but if you could just speak to that briefly, I would appreciate it.
Commissioner Johnson, you're muted.
Sorry. I think at this point, everything is on the table and needs to be on the table, right? This is, an all-out look at sustainability. I think we want to be really respectful and careful, right? These federal jobs particularly are incredibly valuable to keep in Northern Maine. And so we need to balance that with any changes that we make. But certainly there are good ways, right? Good ways. We've all negotiated these contracts before and had good discussions to try to find that line. So I think that is there. Most of the sustainability plan looks at kind of where do these assets really align and who should we be out kind of trying to attract in here, and what does that look like, and what does that cost, and what should we charge for that, and how do we break this facility up in a way that can really be effective at covering operating costs and creating value to Northern Maine. And so most of the sustainability plan focuses on that, but certainly I would say nothing is off the table.
Don't see any other questions. Ms. Olson, did you want to go through the other initiatives related to Loring?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I think we've touched on it already. The initiative 292, is the marketing, the money for DECD to administer programs for marketing and business attraction. That's $200,000 in each fiscal year. And they talked about updating the website as well as other attraction efforts in their testimony. And then there is the language part V, which I mentioned, and that is the transfer language. So language part V is the transfer language to move the $970,100 from the unappropriated surplus of the general fund to DECD's admin, other special revenue funds within DECD on or before June 30th, 2020. So they're connected.
Thank you. Does the committee have any more comments, or are we in a position to vote? Chair recognizes Representative Ducharme.
Thank you, Senator Curry. I was going to make a motion that we approve this if it's appropriate, if it's the time.
We can certainly make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Representative Geiger.
I just want to say, like everyone else on this committee, it would be all to the good for the state of Maine for Loring to become a success, both for Northern Maine, but for the state as a whole. So please don't misunderstand me. I just think 25 years is a long time. If I knew that the Space Center was going to get through the legislature and be signed by the governor, I would be more than happy to support Loring as it begins to work with the possibility of that being one of the changes that could actually lead the way forward here. That's all.
Is the committee ready for the vote? And this is going to be a vote for both items, unless anyone wishes to separate them. Ms. Olson.
Thank you. I was actually seeking clarity on how we're going to take the vote. So the first initiative for DECD was related to the human resources centralized function. And then we have these two initiatives on Loring and the language part V. So we could vote, and then there's one other DECD provision related to the Maine Economic Growth Council. So we can take any way you want, but if we want, I don't know if we want how we want to approach the vote.
So I think the motion, as I heard from Representative Ducharme, was, and correct me on this, was a combined vote for all of the measures related to Loring. And if someone wants to request the division or to divide that, separate those, we can. Is that the case, Representative Ducharme?
That was my intent, was just to combine these items that have to do with Loring and that initial DECD consolidation piece thing. I didn't realize we had another DECD piece below. If you want me to withdraw my motion until we review the Maine Economic Growth Council piece and do one motion for DECD, I'd be happy to do that.
I think this can work. Yeah, we're all talking about Loring right now. So
Okay.
Unless anyone is in opposition, Rachel, Ms. Olson, is that clear?
Yeah.
Great.
Also including that first initiative on the financial and human resources. Is that
Can
correct?
you put that on the screen? So
Yeah.
just to remind people, we haven't talked about that in a little bit.
So that's initiative 289, the increased cost of the centralized financial and human resources services based on increases with personal service costs, particularly salary increases, and passing those costs on.
And that relates to Loring in general, or?
No, I believe that's to just DECD as a whole. Yep, she's nodding her head. Yep.
Gotcha. Representative Ducharme, did you want to include that or not?
Sure, I'm fine with that. Like I said, if you want me to hold off, we can do it. makes no difference.
Why don't we go ahead and then, like we did before, anyone that votes no can say, yeah, we'll be able to divide their reports, their votes. So Ms. Reed, can you go ahead and call the roll?
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
This is for 289, 290, and 292, correct?
And language part B,
The related language.
All right.
the related language.
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth,
Yes.
Representative Pebworth, yes. Representative Collmore? Yes. Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway?
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme?
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative La Rochelle?
Yes.
Representative La Rochelle, yes. Representative Bernard?
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
So that was unanimous, as I think, correct? Yep. So unanimous vote on that. And then we have the final DECD initiative.
Yes. So the final DECD initiative is related to Maine Development Foundation and the Maine Economic Growth Council. And I believe that Mr. Green is available. He was earlier. I don't have it open, but he was here. And so this is reference number 294. This provides funding to accommodate the increased costs associated with staff support for the Maine Economic Growth Council. Maine Development Foundation provides the staff support for the Maine Economic Growth Council in the development of a long-range plan, goals, benchmarks, and alternative strategies for a sustainable state economy. And this is $35,000 in fiscal year 22 and 23. And as this was mentioned during testimony, and I shared this in the materials package, in last session in both of the committee's AFA report backs for both the biennial and the change package, the committee made recommendations for increased costs for this purpose. And the committee also has LD 1476, which is pending on the appropriations table, which also had increased funding in order to be able to update the economic measures of growth and put that on the website, make a dashboard friendly.
Welcome. And let's see if you could stop sharing there. Thank you. And welcome, Mr. Breen. And Commissioner Johnson, before we jump over to Mr. Breen, did you have anything that you wanted to say on this one?
Thank you, Senator Curry. I think Mr. Green will probably be the best to talk through this one. I do think accountability around these measures of the strategic plan and this economic roadmap that we have all kind of worked to develop is really important. So.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Breen.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'll mostly take questions, but just to recap, yeah, we partner by statute with the Economic Growth Council, which is really an independent state commission jointly appointed by the governor and the two presiding officers, and the commissioner's designee serves alongside, as does a legislator from each of the four caucuses bicameral. And so it's a public-private, nonpartisan, bipartisan commission, and we staff it, certainly known for measures of growth. I would say, just backdrop, going back to my time here at MDF over the past 7 years, first couple of years, the Growth Council was just doing its thing, putting out the measures of growth. But I think there was a sense that everybody knew what the report was going to say before it came out, and how could we really add more value. And part of that really came to fruition in 2019 with the ability to support the commissioner and the department with the 10-year economic development strategy. And since then, to really ask how we can align the work to it to measure it better and encourage its follow through and success. And then, of course, as just referenced, the longstanding realization that, a 36-page PDF is not a really user-friendly, either legislator useful or citizen useful product in terms of its accessibility and manipulability. And so really over the last year, upgrading that user interface and user experience, which I think was something that LD 1476 called for. So over the last 3 years or so, as the demand for the Growth Council's engagement for their work has really ratcheted up, the budget has remained fixed as it has for about a decade. And going back to its creation, I think the original budget was something like $250,000 a year, way back in the early 90s. So the Growth Council has been trying to do more than ever. We at MDF support them in that. And frankly, it's such a high priority for us that typically it has been a loss leader, and we'll take on the burden of additional fundraising and apply our resources to it to just do it right, as I said in my testimony. And over the last couple of years, from time to time, Commissioner Johnson has found a little bit of discretionary funding to support the Growth Council and leaning into things like the 10-year economic strategy. So together, the commissioner and I, have subsidized the work beyond the appropriation. And last fall, we did that again. Last summer, LD 1476 was on the appropriations table, unpassed. But we felt, we just can't wait for an appropriation to have a product that we're really proud of, that the public can really use. So we went ahead and bit the bullet and did that digital upgrade, which hopefully you've seen, using our own resources. It's just a much tougher fundraising environment now. That may change someday, but our ability to keep subsidizing the Growth Council to do it right, it's starting to feel unsustainable inside MDF, to be honest. And so we approached the department and asked if they would support us in a supplemental appropriation. And the department and the governor did support us, and we're really grateful for that. So you've seen our written testimony, willing to take questions, but this certainly would obviate the fiscal note on LD 1476. In essence, we've done a good chunk of that work anyway, and we would keep chipping away with the department in collaborating on the dashboard for the 10-year strategy with this supplemental funding, which would obviate the need for any funding through LD 1476 or other places. So this really helps us keep doing what we're doing, but doing what we're doing is constantly trying to evolve and constantly trying to be useful to the legislature and to the main public, as opposed to just standing pat.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. Are there questions from the committee? I'm noting that in our previous report backs, we have put in a recommendation for 85,000, and so what I'm just making sure I'm understanding correctly that through discussions with the administration, you're supporting the 35,000 as part of the governor's budget.
Yeah, so this would take it to a holistic 90,000 per year instead of the 85 that you supported last year. It's a minor difference, but I think in talking with Deputy Commissioner Garland, that really hit about the zone of what we've been subsidizing it for in recent years, at the 90,000 total level per year.
Great. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. So at this point, are we ready for a motion on this item? Representative Chair Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the initiative for the Economic Growth Council.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Ms. Reed, if you call the roll. Ms. Reed?
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews?
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Hepworth?
Yes.
Representative Hepworth, yes. Representative Collmore? Yes. Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway?
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme?
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin?
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hasenfus?
Yes.
Representative Hasenfus, yes. Representative LaRochelle?
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Bernard?
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes,
Senator Curry, yes.
that's a unanimous. Thank you.
Senator Curry, if I could, I just wanted to put in a plug before I leave that
Please do.
we have the 4 legislative representatives on the council for the upcoming cycle. Senator Dill and Senator Stewart have been serving. They may wish to continue to serve. I'm not sure. The House seats have been unfilled recently. Representative Ducharme has expressed interest. But if there are any legislators, I was going to send an email to you and Chair Roberts asking, if there were any members of the committee that wanted to be put forward for consideration for serving on the Growth Council. So that interest would be greatly appreciated.
Great. Thank you very much. And Ms. Olson, next up.
Next up, we have the Finance Authority of Maine. Kind of in two, I broke it out into 2 parts for our consideration. The Educational Opportunity Tax Credit Marketing Fund, and then there are the language changes related to the nursing education and healthcare provider loan repayment programs.
And I've just promoted Mr. Norbert and Ms. Lisa Harvey McPherson. So, and go ahead and walk us through that, Ms. Olson.
Okay, so the first one is that we'll start with is the Educational Opportunity Tax Credit Marketing Fund, reference number 459. This provides funds to market the job creation through educational opportunity program throughout the state. It provides funding to FAME to do the marketing. This, as was presented during testimony, FAME passes this on. And I believe it's Live and Work in Maine who has been doing the marketing for this tax credit. And just to note, again, in testimony and in other parts of the budget, this program, the Educational Opportunity Program, has language changes included in the budget, and I think we're also put forward in the legislature as well that it's changing the program. I believe it was put forward as simplifying or streamlining. And so any change to the program, as was again noted during AFA testimony, it's only good if people know about it. And I think that was the justification for the program. And I know, of course, Mr. Norbert can speak more to this, but it's $26,500 in fiscal year 23. And he can talk more about how the marketing works with these funds if the committee does have questions. I know he spoke about it in his testimony during AFA. But and I did include the language, both the current statute for the program. I didn't include the associated tax provisions, but certainly could bring them in, as well as the language from the rest of the budget related to the changes to the program in the package materials for FAME.
And Ms. Olson, which document is that has the proposed changes to the program?
Yeah, I'll admit, I think these got a little messed up when they were loaded. If you're using the website, if you're not using the website and you're using the ones I emailed to you, it's the one that said FAME Educational Opportunity Tax Credit. If you're on the website, I think you can open that same one. FAME Educational Opportunity Tax Credit Marketing Fund materials. And so the initiative is on the first page, Mr. Norbert's testimony. And then again, this is for reference. So part H of the budget is the proposed language changes. You'll see here, of course, that the first thing it does is repeal a number of sections in Title 20A related to the current program statute. So I did include that. You just keep scrolling through the document to get to it. And then the proposed language changes are here in Part H. This is, of course, within the Education Committee's report back to AFA.
And let's go ahead and invite Mr. Norbert. Mr.
I'm gonna
Norbert.
stop sharing, but happy to put it up.
Yeah, if we need to. Thank you. Mr. Norbert, welcome. And
good morning.
I think we've gotten the information around the well, I don't have any questions about the marketing. I understand that, but can you speak to how how this program is going to be changed and why you're excited by that?
A little bit. I'm not an expert on it. We testified in support, and I just to clarify, that proposal is before the Taxation Committee and a probes, I believe. So before you today is just the marketing money, which we passed through. But yes, it's true that we for years have been supportive of a simplified educational opportunity tax credit. I've been around long enough since it began, and it's a very confusing, often changed program. And I think some of you know, it depends on whether depending on which year you graduated, whether you got a STEM degree, whether you went to school in Maine, then it was expanded to include folks who went to school out of state. So all of this is very confusing, and this change will simplify the program, make it refundable credit for all, cap it, I believe, at $2,000 per year, and then up to 10 years, I think, for $25,000 or something. But it's just going to be a lot easier. It's something I know the administration, Maine Revenue Services have worked on, and also Senator Matt Pouliot, who had a bill in last session, which we also supported, which was in tax and was carried over to this session. So a lot of folks have been thinking about this. There was a work group over the interim between the first and second session, and they came back with these recommended changes, most of which have been adopted in the governor's budget. So that's a short answer for why we're supportive of that other piece of the budget.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Norbert? Mr. Norbert, would you have to take this out to bid, or can you just increase the funding for Live and Work Maine to do this work?
It would kick in during the next year's contract, which does go out to bid annually, an RFP. So that's my understanding. So right now they're getting, the contract is for $48,500 per year, and this extra money would increase it to $75,000. But that's for the next year. We just entered in January into a contract with them, so it'll be next January.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no questions, I actually have a question for Ms. Olson. We can put in a statement as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So so we could put a statement in support. I mean, this is one of those interesting areas that are between two committees of taxation, but it has a significant workforce development role. Does the committee wish to put in a statement of support for the simplified I've got to get the right term for the how do we say the education opportunity tax credit? In addition to that, do we want to combine those as a motion to support the funding and a statement of support for the bill that's going through taxation, or for the principle of the bill that's going through taxation? Chair recognizes Representative Roberts. Chair Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would support that, and along of that line of thinking, and I'm not sure if it's something we put in our letter or if we're able to put an initiative, but I'm wondering what the temperature is in the committee on suggesting initiative of, we did have a unanimous report to increase the funding on the the veterinary loan program, and to not have that go to the table, potentially be included in the budget, I think might be something worth talking about.
Kim, what I would suggest is let's get through the initiatives, and then if we have items that are not initiatives that we wish were, we can go do it that way.
I just wanted to throw it out there while we were in Fameland.
Okay, great. Oh, I understand. Thank you. So, are we ready for a vote? Is anyone opposed to combining, is anyone opposed to combining a vote for the marketing along with a statement of, or principled statement of support for a simplified education opportunity tax credit? Seeing none.
I'd second it.
Okay, great. Oh yeah, I think we need a motion. So Senator Searway, you mind that being your motion?
Yeah, it can be my motion on that.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor, Ms. Reed, please call the roll.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pepworth,
Yes.
Representative Pepworth, yes. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme,
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss, absent. Representative LaRochelle,
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Bernard,
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
And Representative Chair Roberts, I see where I messed up there was we were keeping everything connected as a group of bills, and I separated out. So we have more FAME bills here. So to consider, or FAME, not bills, but FAME related initiatives. So we'll go back to the FAME initiatives. We have that one voted. We'll go back to what's next.
And I think that's probably on me. I actually broke it into two. So I'll take the blame for that one. And the reason I did that is because the other FAME part is its language and doesn't have a reference number initiative. And it's language, and it's related to two things, which I'll put on the screen. And so the language before you make changes to two provisions related to, the first one is the nursing education loan repayment program. So they're all in Part CC. They're together, the two things are together here. So Part CC, so the changes to the nursing education loan repayment program. This is in Title 10, Section 1019. We did make some changes to this last session. And you can see those changes here, but there are a couple of things that are being changed here within the provisions. And I think Mr. Norbert will be able to talk about how this has been funded and why, but the main part about the changes to the language in Part CC have to do with the guidelines for the spending of federal money that was used to fund these two programs. And so I'll just, of note, the changes here is that for the nursing program, nursing education loan repayment program here, the change was from having to work for a minimum of 5 years, changing it to 3. So originally it was 3 and the committee changed it to 5. But because of the federal guidelines, I think the request is back to 3. And then changing the rules from major substantive to routine technical. And I know that Mr. Norbert touched on that during his testimony and could probably talk more about that. And then the other change comes under section, so we're still in Part CC, section CC-3. And this is the Maine Healthcare Provider Loan Repayment Pilot Program. So this is the pilot program, which is a little different than the bill the committee put forward. And I think we've talked about the pilot program previously. But again, these changes really have to do with staying within the guidelines from the federal government around the money and when money can be expended. I will let the expert speak to these changes. Mr. Norbert.
Mr. Norbert.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Yes, these changes are sought so that we can use that federal ARPA money to fund these programs. If we don't make these changes, they'll be ineligible for federal funding. And this is long, hard work, which we discovered after you adjourned last session, and we've been working very hard to set up these programs and coordinate with the administration and DAFs and with the U.S. Treasury Department. But basically, the regulations that were finally handed down from Washington have a time frame in which money must be committed to a particular beneficiary, borrower, by December 31st, 2024. But it has to be expended by December 31st, 2026. So for the nurse educators program, although it was our noble goal to try and get folks to work at least 5 years in that position, it turns out we really have to ratchet back to the original program language of 3 years in order to make use of this federal money. Our suggestion and hope is that we can use this federal money and make that change. So that's the first part of nurse educators. There's a second part about the rules. If you like, I can address that now or wait for questions.
Are there any questions about the proposed change from what we've seen in the past? Representative Collmore.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'd like to hear why we're changing it from major substantive to technical, please.
Yes. Well, we'd like you to change it. This program was first put on the books in 2005, but it was never funded. And so I hadn't looked at the original language in quite some time, but over the interim, when we were working to set up the new program, I noticed that, curiously, the statute said that if FAME engages in rulemaking, that it would use major substantive. Now that was curious to me because that would be unlike any other program we administer at FAME. We always do routine technical. We have expertise in loan repayment programs, our business programs, and it's never been an issue. So we thought as long as we were opening the hood of this car to make this fix, we would ask for your changing to routine technical so that if we do make rules for this program, it wouldn't be major substantive, which can involve a lot of give and take and a lot of time and delay back and forth between the legislature and an agency. And we just, we think it makes sense. Again, if you read the statute governing major substantive rules, they're supposed to be limited to certain situations, such as providing great burdens on business or the economy, or if a department doesn't have expertise in running this type of program. And that just isn't the case here. So that would be our second ask with respect to this program.
Chair recognizes Representative Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Norbert, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Representative Austin. How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
With regards to changing the 5 years to the 3, now is this federal support? Is this a one-time? This is a one-time support?
Yes, the ARPA money.
Okay. Okay. So would it be wise for us to have language to say that after a certain date that we go back to the 5?
I would suggest you wait on that. You'll see when we talk about the next program that despite our best intentions to forecast dates, things can change. And I'm not predicting there'll be more federal money, but I just think it would be better to wait and not build it in right now till we know how this plays out. I'll be happy to come back and remind you in a subsequent year.
Yeah, I guess that's all I'm worried about is the future and people, really
And-
watching the tail of that whole piece and how it connects. So as long as
Yeah.
you, as long as you promise you're going to be around.
Oh, I can't promise anything, but plus it might be unfair. Ms. Harvey McPherson's also on the call. I think she's supportive of the change, but it might be unfair to certain it might add to confusion of people who get in the program and say it continues with other money or something if we have two different commitment periods. So I don't recommend that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Harvey McPherson. Did you want to add anything to this discussion, or are you in fact in support of the proposals?
I am absolutely in support of the proposals. I spoke with Mr. Norbert probably in August or September as we were beginning to learn more about the federal money. So I certainly support changing to 3 years, and I would support keeping it at 3 years for the very issue that we just discussed. It would be confusing for subsequent candidates to have a longer teaching obligation for the sole reason of the source of the money. So we would rather be consistent. And I worked on the legislation in 2005 that had the original major substantive rulemaking. It was different back then. It was a very different time. And I absolutely agree that routine technical is where we should be today.
Are there any other questions for either Mr. Norbert or Ms. Lee Harvey McPherson? Am I butchering your name? Is it McPherson?
Harvey McPherson.
McPherson. Okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you. Seeing no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let's see. So that is 2 items that need a vote. Is that correct, or 1, Ms. Olson?
It's 1. They're all together under language part CC. So if there were questions in regards to the Maine healthcare provider loan repayment pilot program, we should take those now before a motion.
Okay. And my understanding is that the same issue is in relation to the Maine healthcare provider pilot program, attempting to use ARPA funds. Is that correct, Mr. Norbert?
Yes, sir. It is correct. It's just a little different in the time frame on this one. We had tried to prognosticate and predict the future, and we got it a little wrong again. But basically, this change will comply. We're actually under this program entitled to a little more time than we had built into the statute because of the commit deadline and then expend by deadline. And because the program isn't up and running yet, we'd really appreciate the little extra time to expend the money by December 31st, 2026, and not by 24. But it's basically the same issue.
Entertain a motion if we're ready for one. Chair Roberts.
This is the correct wording. I move that we approve. Is it section CC?
Yes.
Second.
Ms. Reed, will you call any other further discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Reed, will you call the roll?
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth,
Yes.
Representative Pebworth, yes. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme,
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative La Rochelle,
Yes.
Representative La Rochelle, yes. Representative Bernard, absent. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes, I just had a quick question. I missed the last vote. Can I tell Miss Reed my vote on that?
Yep.
Miss Reed, I'd be a yes on the previous vote that we took, that I don't believe I was on the roll for that.
Ms. Reed, and I think Ms. Olson is taking notes on that for the report.
Yes, yeah,
Do you
Ms.
have-
Reed's doing the roll call for me, but I'm actually the official counter of the budget votes. Yes, thank you, Representative Hassenfuss. That's a yes on the FAME initiative around the marketing money for the opportunity tax credit. Okay, that brings us to the end of the proposed initiatives and language in front of the committee, which I have recorded, and I also have the additional statement of support for the simplified educational opportunity program. So
And
at this time, anything else the committee would like to add?
Is Chair Roberts, you wanted to have us make a statement regarding the veterinary program?
Yes, I guess just open up for discussion for a moment to see if there's an appetite for that in the committee, seeing that we did have a unanimous vote that this was something important to all of us. And this would, kind of tell AFA, even though they're right here right now, that this is important to us and we don't want to see it set on the table.
Can you remind us of the fiscal note on that?
Oh, it was 30, 35. Off the top of my head, nope.
Hold on.
I know it was 35 a year for 4 years.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I know you can't see me rushing around.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so this would be an increase. So it would be $35,000 per year for a period of up to 4 years. And the request, we don't have the actual fiscal note issued yet, and I will be discussing this momentarily as well, not the fiscal note, but the amendment. It's requesting an additional $920,000. This is on top of a current $200,000 appropriation. So the total would be $1,120,000.
Does the committee wish to make a statement in support of the $920,000 addition being added to the report back to AFA? Is there anyone in opposition to that? No.
Could you repeat that, Senator?
I was seeking, again, it's a temperature check of the committee. Do we wish to include a report back to AFA that includes an addition of $920,000 for the veterinary program, requesting that to be put into the governor's budget? Shall we just make the motion for it and then we'll see where it lands? Does that work?
I can do that if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I motion that we include in our report back on the budget under FAME initiative for the veterinary loan program in the amount of $20,000 accompanied with the accompanying legislation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Ms. Reed, will you call the roll? Sorry, that's probably a roll thing again.
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth,
Yes.
Representative Pebworth, yes. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway,
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme,
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin,
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative LaRochelle,
Yes.
Representative LaRochelle, yes. Representative Bernard,
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes.
That is, I think, unanimous, so that will probably have some weight. So does that wrap up our report for AFA?
It does. Just for the last initiative or the language that we voted on, there was one member who was absent for the vote, who's now back. I didn't know if they wanted the opportunity.
Representative Bernard, our vote was, Ms. Olson, can you explain what the vote was?
Yeah, so the committee voted on a motion to accept and recommend the language for Part CC on the nursing education program and the healthcare provider program.
I believe we had a unanimous vote.
The language change for.
I'm sorry, did you say a language change? No.
The language, it's language Part CC. They made to FAME regarding the nursing loan program, nursing education loan program, and the healthcare provider loan repayment program. It's not an initiative, it's a language part of the budget, Part CC, and the change is necessary to align with federal guidance around the committing and expending of federal funds.
Okay, sorry about that I wasn't here. I will vote along with the rest of the committee. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that does conclude it unless there are any other recommendations the committee would like to take. I have everything I need at this point.
Thank you very much.
On that, I do have two things to bring back to the committee today.
Can we hold off for 1 second?
Yes.
On that, Chair recognizes Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to 1785 and the public safety workers, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider my vote so that I'm able to move to the other report.
Is there a second? Take a second. All those in favor? I think you can just raise your hand. On camera. That's a majority. We'll reopen LD 1785. And is there a motion or Chair recognizes Representative Roberts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to pass as amended, with the amendment being the study language that was the previous minority report from last week.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second? Moved in second. Discussion. Seeing no further, Chair recognizes Representative Hassenfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say that I think that they're both very good ideas of how we help first responders, and that something should be done, and that I'm willing to move to make the strongest report possible, and hoping that we can move the ball forward at least a little bit.
Is the committee ready for a vote? Ms. Reed, you'll call the roll.
Representative Geiger.
I like both bills. I think Senator Curry's bill is the stronger, but in the interest of making a much stronger majority, I will vote for this. Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews.
Just to clarify, this is basically the same vote for me if I vote yes as last week, correct?
Correct.
All right, yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pepworth.
Yes.
Representative Pepworth, yes. Representative Collmore.
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Rafferty is absent. Senator Searway.
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme.
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin.
Yes.
Representative Austin, yes. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative La Rochelle.
As I also liked Senator Curry's amendment, I am going to vote yes, just because I do want the strongest bill possible going forward with the idea that it get funded. So yes.
Representative La Rochelle, yes. Representative Bernard.
With appreciation for the reconsideration, yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
No.
Senator
With-
Curry, no.
With one vote and 11 votes in the affirmative and one vote in the negative and one vote absent, the ought not to pass will be the majority report. And
It was
that work
ought to pass
session is-
as amended.
Thank you. Yes. Ought to pass as amended. And Ms. Olson, my report will be the one that I'd passed the last time.
Okay, so I think I have that. So just to make sure, I'm going to put it on the screen. The amendment was to move forward with the original amendment. That's now the majority report, 1785, fiscal note of $125,000, one-time general fund appropriation for the Department of Labor to work with an outside contractor to conduct research and evaluate recruitment and retention programs for incentives for public safety workers. And the bill language here as follows: the resolve to examine recruitment and retention programs and incentives for public safety workers. Correct. That's what we're moving as the majority report. Okay. And then Senator Curry, your minority report is the version that I shared this morning, which
Correct.
I will send to you. I will send out to you and the committee when it is final to be reported out. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, well then we'll scratch that one off my list and we'll do the one other one I have on my list. This is something just for the committee to consider and that I needed to bring back to you in regards to LD 1885, which is the veterinary loan program. And this is really because of how it interacted with another statute. So it's not, my question is not really about what the committee has voted on. It's as it relates to the program, but how it connects elsewhere. So I'm going to bring up a document on the screen and I'm going to just try my best to walk you through my question. It is a little complicated and I shared this document with you as well in the email this morning. So way back when the very sort of first programs to support veterinarians were created, which I think was in the early 90s, there was a different program that existed that was amended, and there was a bridge to kind of put the two programs together. So their very first version had the state basically securing a seat for a veterinary student at a veterinary school. And I think we're talking the early 90s, I think 1991. There were changes that were made. So that program ended. And then we started with this loans for medical education, or the health professions loan program, which is still in existence. This is still run. So these are loans. And these loans are veterinarians are eligible, or veterinarian students are eligible for these loans. And priority is in fact given. There's a 1, 2, and 3, but one of those is to participants in the main veterinary medicine loan program established in Chapter 424-A, which is the program the committee amended. So this program, these loans, if you took the loan and you have a loan agreement after January 1st, 2010 or January 1st, 2011, which I think is the date for veterinary students, these loans, the authority can establish differing interest rates to encourage loan recipients to provide veterinary services in areas of the state with insufficient veterinary services as defined in Chapter 424-A. As you know, the committee's amendment amended the definition of insufficient veterinary services to include also areas of the state with not enough emergency and critical care vets. So that definitional change will broaden the definition of insufficient veterinary services. So there's potentially more students who might have these loans. These are not the same loans. These are different than the vet program loans, but you could have these in addition to the forgivable loan. So this would broaden the loans that could receive an interest rate benefit. You don't really have to do anything with that information, just making you aware. And I'm not sure if FAME offers an interest rate benefit. I'm not sure if they're doing this because it says they may establish. So we could certainly ask if that's something. Mr. Norbert's still with us. But there is a question here. We also, under the veterinary program under Chapter 424A, added underserved geographic region. So a question to the committee would be, would you want to extend this program's interest rate benefit to underserved geographic regions as well, or to students who might have this loan who end up working in an underserved geographic region? So that would be one question for the committee to consider. This is really, it is outside of the amendment, but it is related because the program under 424A is connected to, the two statutes are connected to one another. But again, this is a different program and these are different loans. These are not forgivable loans. So these are different loans. So that's question one. These two questions are related. So question two has to do with the fund that the money to support the program goes into. So the fund for the veterinary loan program under Chapter 424A is actually created here under Chapter 424. And the fund is used for essentially both purposes, although they are allowed to separate out the accounts. But as it says here, the funds used beginning January 1st of 2011 to make loans under the main veterinary medicine loan program, the one the committee amended, and that the authority may allocate a portion of any loan repayments received under Chapter 424A for the purpose of recruiting veterinarians to areas of the state with insufficient veterinary services as defined in Chapter 424A. And those portions of these loan repayments received under the chapter can be used to generate additional matching funds for recruitment of veterinarians to areas with insufficient veterinary services as defined in Chapter 424A, or in accordance with criteria established by the authority to encourage veterinarians to practice in areas of the state with insufficient veterinary services. So this is dealing with the fund and the ability to use money in the fund for these purposes. And again, I don't know in practice how much is occurring related to these sections, but it would be worth to bring to your attention that the definition of insufficient veterinary services that's being amended by the committee does impact, it expands the use of these funds and the interest rate benefit for people who meet that definition but have these other loans, and for the committee to consider if you wanted to expand the use of these funds for recruitment purposes or the interest rate benefit to incomes. The committee can also choose to do nothing with these sections, but it is my job to make you aware of the connection.
Thank you. Ms. Is Mr. Norbert still with us? He is still with us. Ms. Norbert, a question for you. Have these been used in your experience? Have any of these been used in that way? With
Yeah.
different interest rates?
So I'm not sure. I need to check with our team. I didn't know this was going to come up today. I would have been happy to take a look at it. It's kind of an arcane thing. As Ms. Olson explained, we operate a low interest Maine Health Professions loan program. And I think the vast majority go to not veterinarians, just so you know. These are typically other types of medical students. And there's a limited number of these loans. They're for up to $100,000 over 4 years. So $25,000 a year. And I think it's rare because we have this other veterinary program that we award one of these limited loans to a veterinarian. But I'm happy to double check and get you details.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Representative Hassenfuss, you have a question?
I think Mr. Norbert answered part of my question, but I have a comment too to say that I'm totally fine with doing nothing. I think that it's entirely appropriate to change the definition to expand the universe of the types of vets that we need, and a low interest loan repayment program in conjunction with what we've already passed. I think just adds to what we're trying to accomplish. And so I'm fine with doing nothing, changing the definition, and letting the other programs exist as they are.
Chair recognizes Representative Roberts.
I'm just gonna second that. I'm fine with doing nothing.
Does anyone have any difficulty with moving forward with the language as is? Not seeing any opposition. Chair recognizes Senator Searway.
I didn't know if maybe if we let Mr. Norbert kind of review it with his group, and then we could have a short review meeting like Friday or something, just to okay it. I don't know if we could just do that or something. It just seems like it would be, for the little time spent, it might be worth having to take a look at it.
Ms. Olson, logistically, how might that work? I know sometimes language review happens via email. So is it possible to would we need to reconvene in order to do language review? Or can we get the information and do it via email?
I think I'm sorry, I had to turn my camera off again for internet. I mean, I think we could certainly do it by email. I think depending on the level of complexity, with the committee's permission, I'll just touch base with Mr. Norbert, and he can, as he gets materials, share them. And then we can share them with the committee by email. People can respond by email, or we can come back together. I anticipate at least one future meeting of us all together, whatever that will look like. I know we're facing challenges due to the closure of the State House right now. But I think it could be done either way. It might depend on what people are thinking once we get the info.
Senator Searway, are you comfortable if we went by email unless someone says that they've got a concern, and then if they have a concern, I'm happy to put it on the schedule for us to meet if we feel we need to make changes? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just think that we should take just a little time and have it looked at. That's all.
Great. Let's go ahead and do that. Representative Collymore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Personally, I don't know how everybody else's schedule looks, but I'd love to just have something on the schedule that I can plan for that can be canceled that I don't book anything during that time frame because it's a lot harder for me to move work meetings.
I would hope that we can get some things on the schedule pretty shortly. So.
And I'll just chime in. Unfortunately, it is difficult right now because we're, I think, waiting for things that we have no control over knowing when we're going to get them. So we can't schedule stuff until we know about it.
The other question mark on things, just to let you know, is how long these Tuesday, Thursdays will go and whether we'll have any opportunity at the end of them. You know, can we do a 1 o'clock, which is the traditional time? Can we do a 3 o'clock? That's what I'm trying to get some guidance on. With what doesn't help to schedule 1 o'clock and then to find out we worked in our chambers till 5. So, okay. Anything else, Ms. Olson, that we need to cover?
There's nothing at this time, but I would like at this juncture where we're looking at about a week and a half until theoretically everything needs to be reported out. I know there's an asterisk on that, but just be checking your emails frequently, particularly from me. Language reviews and questions will come out to the committee by email. So just to be aware of that, and any advance notice on questions or anything you would like from me would certainly speed the process along. And that includes this budget letter that's due on the 18th. So I will be drafting it ASAP and sending it out for the committee's review. So please just be aware of your legislative emails, or if you get it forwarded, make sure you're looking and checking your spam folder if needed.
And so bill jackets are in that category as well. Please, everyone, pay attention to bill jackets as well. The other reminder and for everyone, and I will ask Representative Bernard, I think if each of the caucuses could look at the membership, the remaining membership slots on the for the workforce research development and student achievement board, that we have we've got an advisory board, and we have a few more slots that we need to request for individuals to fill on that advisory board. And so talk to Representative Bernard and myself if you have a person in any of those positions that you would like to recommend. And then the intention is that we'll be approving them as a slate once we have the full body in place. So, and Representative Bernard and I, you and I will talk and bring it back to the group. Senator Searway.
So are we all set on the language review for LD 1923, or is that all still in the works?
That is still in the works, and when I am in possession of language to share, I will send it up.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any?
I realize that normally we process very quickly, but as I'm sure you're all aware, given the issues at the State House, I think that there's been a backlog. I mean, just that one day has thrown a stone in the process. So into the stick in the wheel is what I want to say. So
or a flood in the basement.
Yeah. Yes. So so things that I may have been anticipating, unfortunately, got delayed, I think.
Excellent. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Have a great afternoon.